Dear Boomers, I just finished reading this book called Pure Love by John Mears, who I went to high school with, and he will be on my YouTube channel tomorrow. We will be discussing the so-called death of his daughter Angela. And I say so-called because once Angela passed over the veil, and as devastating as that was and still is to John and his wife Mamie, he in particular was able to hear Angela's voice guide him into a new spiritual reality. Now, John is very spiritual. However, I think this experience helped him to become more enlightened through the death of his daughter. His wife is having a tougher time, but Angela is working from the other side to make her mommy feel better. Now, we don't have to go into the details of her death, other than to say it was very quick. She was on life support for quite some time, not an over prolonged time, but she was on life support. And however, she was giving a presentation. It looked like she had fainted, but she actually probably had a major brain aneurysm, is my guess. So, having said that, it was a shock. She was in another country, so it wasn't like it was easy to get to her. John stayed home, and Mamie went to deal with a situation she was having, let's just say, one of the worst experiences of her life. Losing a child is always difficult. I mean, you hear that all the time. The world tells us that the loss of a child is the worst loss. Again, loss. Because when I've read many books on this subject, I've always been interested in life after death. My parents, of course, were very much into life after death. And so I got it pretty early, basically. And as far as reincarnation goes, that is another thing to speculate. But I always say, reincarnation is based on linear time. And linear time does not exist. So there is an explanation for it, which does not really include linear time as we know time to be on this physical plane. So, the idea that Angela has imparted to her dad, John, is that there's nothing but love at all. Pure love is something that exists as soon as you die. Her message is, we do not have to wait to die to experience pure love or to experience love at all. So let us just say that we can learn to love purely in this lifetime. Now, at this time in our history in America, I would say, it's very difficult in this election season to, if you're paying attention to Trump's rhetoric about mass deportation and, talking about the migrants as being vermin, just like Adolf Hitler spoke about people. And everybody goes, ha, 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 that's just Donald Trump. He doesn't really mean it. He does mean it. He means it because he's insane, not because he's a rational person. He's really, really insane. And the good news is, my astrologer has said on his broadcasts, and he said it to me personally, that Donald Trump will lose and Kamala, will win in a landslide, which gives me hope. But the amount of hate in the atmosphere in this country is fascinating to apply it to what Angela is talking about. We cannot fall prey to the Trump contagion, which Bandy Lee has gone through this. I've talked about it. It has to do with a contagion in the atmosphere where people were so afraid of migrants, of the other, and not feeling love within their heart, getting rid of fear and this kind of thing. So at this time in American history, we have really gone deep into the most hateful, the most disgusting, the least respectful situation as represented by this one man. And of course, Trumpism will continue even after Trump loses, because they're all in a state of denial. It's almost like denial, very deep denial. So as Angela says, pure love will heal all wounds of this nature. When you experience hate, disrespect, and loathing, you pour your heart of love into the situation. This is the remedy, and this is the antidote. We have no other choice. And I believe John when he says he's communicating with his daughter. So one of the things she has emphasized throughout the book is the best way to gain conscious contact with pure love is to meditate. Meditation, now John has been a TM meditator for the last 60 years, I think he said. And when I knew him in high school, I don't think he had quite started. He was around town for a while after I didn't. They graduated. I actually dropped out of high school. So John began TM, and I remember him talking about it to his friends. It really meant a lot to him, and still does. So Angela's telling him to meditate, because this is the way to reach another dimension, raise your vibrations, to understand that life is not the physical. It is not. Now, we are in a physical body, and there are many, many lessons to learn from being in the physical body. Probably the most important lesson is love. And that's why I have enjoyed my dogs over all these years. And they are exemplified by pure love, unconditional love. This is what love is, not conditional on anything. There's no reason to feel love one moment and not feel love the next. Love is a constant. As soon as we drop into it, or maybe lift the vibrations from the heart. The heart is the center of love, and we harmonize the heart. And as we harmonize the heart with our brain, with the body, we actually are there. We're there. And we have to realize that breathing, learning how to breathing is actually the source of what true meditation is. And of course, you're not going to reach enlightenment the moment you start to meditate, and there might be times when you have dry periods when you are completely far removed from feeling that kind of pure love in your meditation. But what unconditional love was shown to me at my time of my mother's death. My husband, my brother, and I were, and both of those guys have passed on too. We were in the hospital room where my mother was dying. And when she died, there was a light that came into the room, and all of her wrinkles from being very ill for a number of weeks because she didn't live much longer after a stroke. All of her wrinkles went away, and there was a peace that came to her that was unbelievable. It was unmistakable. So, for the next 2 to 3 weeks, I experienced unconditional love. I loved everybody. I overlooked anything. There was no overlooking to be had. It was so cool because I experienced something I had only heard about all of my life. Unconditional love is something we talk about, blah, 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 blah. But to experience it is the answer to everything. And so, after about 3 weeks, the experience of unconditional love faded, but I remembered it. I have always remembered it, and I can bring it up. I can bring it up, and so in the last few weeks of this election, the more we beam unconditional love to the campaign of Kamala and all of us, because if Trump wins, we are all in trouble. Those of us who have been outspoken about Trump, he'll come after you and me, and who knows, and you don't have to have brown skin to be chased by Donald Trump. You do not. But instead of being in this fearful place in regards to Donald Trump, I am going to exercise what Angela has guided us to do, which is to love unconditionally, no matter what it is. There are no exceptions. And tomorrow John will come on to my show and we'll discuss it with him, and we'll let him discuss it. I will send him this video. Also, I won't be releasing that video until Tuesday because we're doing it later in the day. So namaste and love to you. There's going to be a video that shows up here. Bye.